Hi, my name is Victor from NH Architecture. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. This is Village21 Preston. So we recognise that our project is on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people, and we acknowledge our profound and ongoing connection to country. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and as a practice, we are committed to reconciliation. So our client was Kids Undercover, and they are a charity dedicated to preventing youth homelessness. The statistics are pretty gobsmacking. 1 in 6 people, young people aged between 15 and 19 years old have already experienced homelessness at some stage of their lives, and 35% of young people who leave out of home care at the age of 18 will become homeless within 12 months. So their organisation, through funding and donations, they facilitate scholarships, programs and education, but most uniquely, they build studios on the ground. So what that is they're located in the backyards of family and carers, so they're relocatable studios, come flat packed. What they do is they provide a stable environment and for the youth, their own space. Sometimes it relieves overcrowding, and in its lifespan, usually it's relocated about 4 times, so it's continually being used. I think the challenge for us was, and working with Kids Undercover, was how do we scale up this approach from the backyard to, say, a suburban plot. So if we, on the site, if we had a number of relocatable studios, 1 to 2 bed, and a communal and mentor space, it could give the residents tools for independent living. And for us architects, it was a planning challenge. Like, how do we maximize the use of space? How do we balance the need for private and communal spaces? But also, how do we deal with all the spaces between? So our approach was, we visited the existing module that they had already. One thing that we consciously did was look at how you enter the studio. Rather than opening straight onto the bed, it was a conscious decision to locate the door around the corner. Another thing we thought about was, it's no longer kind of a shed in a backyard, it's more of a collection of buildings. So that kind of drove the idea about altering the roof form to kind of think of it as a collection of buildings. But also looked at consolidating all the openings, because we would try to maximize the budget, as well as provide ample opportunity for lots of sunlight. So that's kind of the prototype out at Vortex area. They built the studio. You can see there that we've gone away from that approach of that sort of backyard shed and into something that could come more comfortably in a suburban plot. We opted to look at, as I discussed, the different types of windows and really focus on having a primary opening which had generous amounts of sunlight, and also a secondary opening that could be more faced towards public areas. And you'll see that in the planning later. So what we have here is our site. It's in Preston, facing quite a busy road. Us as architects thought about the strategy. How do we create the sort of privacy, but also address the street as well? So generous setback for parking, locating the communal spaces and the mentor spaces at the front to give them as much privacy from the street, and then studios at the back, all arranged in ways that maximize the privacy. So the big openings for the windows faced more private spaces, and smaller ones back into the either facing out or inward. Everything is generously connected with a raised deck. Also gave us opportunities to push and pull between the studios to create more spaces, also create some privacy around. So this is the built outcome. The modules sit raised because they're relocatable. So one of the things we did was create a communal deck, and that creates the sort of universal access to all the studios, but also became an opportunity to create like a large informal space that you could sit and gather or meet with mentors. The planting, strategically thought about how the planting could break up that large, big, expansive space. It was an area for people to to read or chat to mentors, gave them another option to use the space better. All the planting was done by the organisation itself, like on a weekend, so it was really fun to do. And then we consciously stretched out a portion of space, provided a barbecue space, places to park your bike, and just helped with that area. And we zoom into a particular moment, consciously the door's not facing the public's more communal spaces, but around the corner, consciously to give some more privacy. It's not a solid door, it's a fly screen as well, so you can see what's on the other side. It gives you another level of protection, but also battening to give you some more privacy. So you could have the door open, let the ventilation through as well. And also the gardens, the deck is offset from the edge, allow opportunities for planting, and this is another area where we can pursue independent learning, like the resident can water the garden and meet their mentors and give them a kind of ownership of space. The modules are located internally. We try to use as much ceiling space as possible, and the window reveals come into the space to give that area a bit more warmth, and really let them personalise that space themselves. And the village in there sits really in its neighbourhood. Itself, it's its own village, but it also sits in a wider neighbourhood as well. So beyond Preston, this was just a pilot project and it's a prototype, but we've actually got another 3 sites we're working with kids undercover. Most of the principles and strategy kind of can adapt to those different situations, working with a different provider as well. It is supporting young nation communities. It's named Morumbina. And yeah, it's just through the lens of the First Nations, we can start to think about how the youth would use that space and adapt that approach. So I think the success of the project is through its social outcomes, and 2/3 of the occupants have found employment, and a third have transitioned to independent living. And I think it's a great model for pushing it's a good model for the journey of the young people that go through the site, and it's providing a really positive impact on the community.